Oh yeah, I saw it. Well done on that. Just about shit their pants, did they? That's fantastic. God, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. I can't wait until I get a chance to... I have to go. Who are you talking to? Fuck off. That's who I was talking to. Get on with the video, you nosy bitch. Final resolution. We start with a Let's Get James Storm a pay-per-view spot match. He has a promo that gets interrupted by Kazarian, and I don't know when the hell Kaz got so good on the mic, but this was some funny stuff. It leads to an impromptu match. Storm is injured right now, so it doesn't go too long. He wins, of course. It's a nice little match. Nothing more to it than that, really. But it's good to see these guys get pay-per-view spots. I don't know why they couldn't have announced this ahead of time, since I think most people assumed that Storm would be wrestling Kaz anyway, but for a spur-of-the-moment thing, it was the logical match to put out there. The show officially begins with the X Division title match, and with this one being set up on the go-home show with no real hype or story attached to it, I had no real expectations. I just hoped it would be a good match. And it was good. I know they could do better. They were having some trouble getting into second gear for some reason, whether that was because of Van Dam being unmotivated these days or because Kenny King was selling an injury for most of the match that may or may not have been a shoot, I don't know. But I liked it. I don't think any of us thought for 1 second that No Job Rob was going to put over Kenny King on pay-per-view, but they did at least get across that Van Dam was having some trouble finishing him off. He didn't just walk all over the guy. They tried to make a story out of it with Kenny having his signature moves scouted, and Kenny lost, but he didn't get shown up. Van Dam gave him enough that he at least looked competitive, and realistically, that's about all we could hope for. Los Stereotypicos versus Joey Ryan and Matt Morgan for the tag titles. This was just okay. I don't think there's a ton of chemistry between these teams. Of course, with Morgan and Hernandez, we already knew that. The finish made sense, I guess. Morgan pulls the referee out of the ring, which causes a DQ. I don't know why that would cause a DQ. It usually doesn't. But Matt Morgan was protected here, which is probably the most important thing. Morgan injures Chavo after the match. That's good. That's the kind of thing Morgan should be doing to look dangerous, not just beating people but breaking them. But him selling for Hernandez immediately afterward was bogus. They need to get more aggressive with the Matt Morgan push if they want this to work, so he can't be doing stuff like that. Austin Aries versus Bully Ray, with Brooke Hogan's honor at stake. I do think the in-ring chemistry is better when Aries is the face and Bully's the heel, but this did not disappoint. These two are so entertaining, with Aries just shamelessly mocking all of Hogan's mannerisms, Bully pulling out a missile dropkick of all things, that massive Bully cutter where Aries damn near hit the ceiling. I mean, this was terrific. The end approaches, Bully blades, Aries is moving in for the kill, but Brooke Hogan shows up to protect her man. And she's all, "Oh, no you didn't, Aries, my orgasms come from him." Aries backs her into a corner, threatening her, and the announcers are saying that Aries is going too far here, which I say is bullshit. Brooke shouldn't have been out there in the first place, and in my opinion, if you interject yourself into a match where you're not supposed to be, then you deserve what you get. Hogan gets her out of there eventually, and in the confusion, Aries low blows Bully and gets the pin. Technically, the faces cheated first here. Brooke trying to ward off Aries counts as cheating as far as I'm concerned, so I don't see why anyone should boo Aries for how he won the match. That said, goddamn I'm enjoying this feud right now. With anyone else, I probably wouldn't because of the Hogans being so involved, but the brilliant performances of Aries and Bully make it work. I can't wait to see what happens next. Mickie James versus Tara for the Knockouts title. We knew this match was filler before the show even started. And they proved that by having the video package being all about Velvet Sky instead of this title match. They basically told us that this match means nothing because they're already looking ahead to Velvet. But I will credit both women for working hard despite being in a really thankless position, and they delivered a really strong women's match. And I'm going to savor that because if they're going back to pushing Velvet Sky now, we won't be getting any more of these for a while. Haha! The finish was never really in doubt, though. With all the stuff Jesse Goddard did here, he probably should have been DQ'd or at least ejected from ringside. I don't know why he wasn't. And that angle still isn't getting much of a reaction, but I think they're starting to figure out how to book it so that at least it doesn't hurt the matches too much or be such a huge buzzkill for the audience, and that's something. Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, Wes Briscoe, and Garrett Bischoff versus the Aces and Eights. This match was pretty blah up until the last few minutes, but then it got kind of chaotic at the end, too. There weren't enough good or interesting workers here to make this terribly compelling. Mostly you were watching this one for the fallout, I think. Would someone get unmasked? Would Wes Briscoe turn? And then nothing happens. The faces win, and that's it.
Oh, what a bunch of bull.
The Aces and Eights look like chumps for losing to a team with 2 rookies on it. One of them being Garrett Bischoff of all people. I don't care whose son he is, losing to a scrub like Garrett ain't doing these guys any favors. And nothing at all happens with Briscoe either. He spears Doc to save him from the hammer shot, and that's it. No progression on this angle at all. And that's what I think most people were hoping to get out of this. They're dragging the Wes Briscoe thing out for so long that instead of anticipating some kind of surprise, I'm just waiting for them to get it over with so we can all move on. What a load.
This whole show is ridiculous.
AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. One last time. Or at least until they decide to have another match in a month or two. For all the reasons I stated before, I'm boycotting this one. I'll just say that I'm very glad Daniels won. I think he needed that win, and AJ needed the loss to push this AJ is disillusioned and frustrated angle to the next chapter, so I think this was definitely what was best for both characters, and I'll leave it at that. Bobby Roode versus Jeff Hardy was a fine match, a fine main event. But by this point, I'd pretty much resigned myself to the fact that this was a filler pay-per-view and nothing really noteworthy was going to happen. I didn't think for a second that Hardy would lose, and he didn't. Roode thought the Aces and Eights would help him, but they screwed him over, attacking him and Hardy. And no one comes out to help them, strangely enough. Not the agents, not Angle's team. Were they all taking a crap or something? Where was everybody? I don't know. So the pay-per-view ends with the Aces and Eights beating someone up. Wow. We've only seen that a few dozen times before on iMPACT. We didn't learn anything new. The story was not advanced in any way. Really, what was the point of this? Can anyone answer me that? Final resolution? More like filler resolution. Not discounting the effort involved. Everybody worked hard here, and there weren't any really bad matches, but in terms of story advancement, I walked away from this pay-per-view feeling like I probably could have skipped like 2/3 of it and not really missed anything. It's obvious that Genesis is their priority right now, and much like a lot of pay-per-views that come before the Big Four shows, Final Resolution kind of got thrown under the bus. And I was very happy to hear that TNA were cutting Against All Odds and No Surrender from the schedule, because that makes 2 less pay-per-views a year where this is likely to happen. Yeah, I'm as pissed as you are. I never thought it would take this long. I agree, it's bullshit. I thought the Briscoe play was a sure thing. And it still might be, but he's being patient. He's waiting for something. And until he plays his cards, we can't move to phase 2. Just stay on top of the Briscoe thing for now. I'll get back to you when I have something. Is it my imagination, or does TNA seem to have no idea where this Aces and Eights storyline is going anymore? It looked like they had a plan at first, but it keeps changing direction, and now I'm starting to get the feeling that they don't really know what to do with it. First they were invading because they wanted to destroy TNA for reasons we still haven't learned. Then they were kidnappers. Then they were beating up random people chosen from a dartboard, and now they're thugs for hire. That's an awful lot of hats for a biker gang to be wearing. And every time it changes, it gets a little harder to buy into, especially when they're losing more often than not. They lost at the pay-per-view, they lost here, and this was ridiculous. Doc and the Armbreaker lose to James Storm and Jeff Hardy despite interference from what seemed like every member of the group, including Devon with a freaking baseball bat. I mean, you basically had the entire Aces and Eights faction get punked out by two guys in about 90 seconds. I mean, the match was okay, but a competitive match meant nothing at that point. The Aces and Eights got neutered here. I mean, there's no reason to take anything they do seriously after this. I mean, sure, they injured Kurt Angle, but that's about the only thing they seem to be able to do at this point. I couldn't even pay attention to the match that much, because this whole angle has pretty much lost me now. Although, something the announcers said really got to me. Tenay and Taz said that after all these months, we still don't know anything about the Aces and Eights. Who they are, why they're here, what they're trying to accomplish, who they're working for, and that's the bitch of it. We should know those things, but we don't. And that's why this angle feels like it's going nowhere.
This whole show violates everything about my journalistic integrity.
So we have this mystery of the Aces and Eights not helping Bobby Roode win the world title at the pay-per-view like he thought they would because somebody else made them a more lucrative offer. And Devon says they won't reveal who it was in that first segment, but then an hour later he changes his mind because fuck it, and says it was Austin Aries, which was a pretty anticlimactic way to reveal that. And they could have milked that mystery for a lot more than they did, or at least found a more dramatic way to pay it off. That was disappointing, but it was a nice hook while it lasted, I guess. So Velvet Sky had Madison Rayne for her return match. Basically just a short match to say that Velvet's back and she's going after the Knockouts title. Velvet had a pre-match promo, and you had to love this because she basically flat out said that she was warming up the pigeons and she couldn't wait to go shake her ass for the camera. To which I said to myself, yeah, this is a woman who's very aware of what her fan base expects from her. That just made me laugh. But she also said that we're going to see a whole new Velvet Sky now, a Velvet who's more determined and more focused than ever before. And then proceeds to do all the same stuff she was doing before she left. Apparently a whole new Velvet Sky means she changed her ring gear and that's it.
Yet again, I am standing before another ignoramus.
They have exactly the match that you would expect Velvet Sky and Madison Rayne to have. It's best left forgotten, and I'm going to talk about the Velvet Sky thing more in depth at another time, because I think there are some people out there who don't really understand my position on her. So I'll get into that later, but for right now, I'm much more interested in the potential Mickie James heel turn, which they teased in that promo video, and I was so happy to see this. Mickie was upset about her loss at Final Resolution. She insists that she's the best woman in the business, and again, we see that change of attitude from her that they were hinting at before she had to leave for a few months. I am 100% on board with this. They should absolutely turn Mickie heel, and she's been a face for so long. Perfect way to refresh her character. And if this happens, they could actually create a couple knockout matchups that we haven't seen yet, and there's very few of those left. Mickie James heel turn? Hell yeah. Go for it.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Oh, sweet zombie Jesus. Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe had a match with the Robbies.
No! No! No!
Garrett and the Robbies in the same segment? It's like they wanted me to change the channel. And Tenay was talking about what great chemistry the Robbies have, which is fucking hysterical because I don't think these jokers have won a single match as a team ever.
Nobody cares about you guys.
Thankfully, the match meant nothing. It was just there so the Aces and Eights could attack Kurt Angle before his match with Devon next week. Aside from that, there's nothing I even want to say about this one.
I will not participate in this charade this evening.
But after suffering through that waste of time, TNA rewarded us with a Joseph Park segment. Joseph went to OVW to get trained as a wrestler, and this was 2 minutes of pure awesomeness. Are you telling me you can't even do one single sit-up? No. You're standing on my groin. Oh man, this was entertaining. I fucking love Joseph Park. TNA, I want videos like this every week. Yes! AJ Styles has a promo that was a really great follow-up to his loss to Daniels on Sunday. He's tired of being the company man, tired of doing what TNA wants. From now on, he's just going to do what AJ Styles wants. And while this promo was not the best, it does set the stage for them to do some really interesting stuff with his character. Not necessarily a full heel turn, but turning AJ into sort of a loner, anti-hero tweener type could be really compelling because it's something new. It's a position AJ has never been in before, which is why I like it. It gives you new things that you can do with him. And for a guy that's been in the company as long as he has, that's very refreshing. This is why I thought losing that match to Daniels was the best thing AJ could have done. And even though I had no desire to see that match again, it is good to see that it at least served a purpose. Then Kenny King and Bob Van Dam had a non-title rematch. It was definitely better than their Final Resolution match, and holy shit, Kenny King won.
What?
Kenny King beat Bob Van Dam?
What?
Bob Van Dam jobbed to Kenny King?
What?
I know, I could hardly believe it either. But it happened, and it was fantastic. I can't even describe how happy it made me to see this. First, because it looks like this is going to be an actual feud, which I maintain is the best X Division feud you can do right now. Second, because Kenny's got some kind of character now. Now we know if he's supposed to be a face or a heel. And third, because there's actually some story here. Kenny patterned himself after Van Dam, and now he wants to show the guy up. There's shades of Kenny King, Jerry Lynn here, and while I don't think for a second that Van Dam will give Kenny as much as Jerry did, there's more to it than just champion versus the challenger of the month now, and that's something this division has been lacking. It took a while for it to happen, but Kenny King's finally getting a push, and I'm going to enjoy every second of this. Damn you, Bully Ray. Damn you for being so awesome that you actually made me enjoy a Hulk Hogan segment. I feel like punching myself in the head. So Hogan is still pissed off about the torrid sexual affair between Brooke and Mark, and I guess I do understand that. Hell, I'd be pissed off too if Bully Ray plowed my daughter on the hood of my car. And he says that nothing has changed between them. And this really sets Bully off. This was arguably the most compelling segment of the night. I can't believe I'm saying this. With anyone else, it would not have worked nearly as well. But Bully Ray's brilliant performance sold this like magic. The Brooke thing doesn't even seem to be the real issue here. The real issue behind all that is that Hogan doesn't trust Bully Ray, and for some reason, this really upsets him. I'm not sure why Bully Ray, of all people, would care about that, but he does, and he sells it, and I believe it because his performance was that damn good here. It's a personal issue, a compelling issue, and I don't know what the purpose of it is yet. I don't know where it's going, but damned if I'm not intrigued. Then Bully had a match with Jesse Goddard. It really went too long. This should have been a complete squash. But Tara got involved so Goddard could get in some painfully amateurish offense. He's still not over at all, by the way. Bully beats him, though. And oh man, it was satisfying to see Bully Ray slap the shit out of this poser. If only he could slap him all the way back to OVW.
This alleged superstar is an unworthy opponent.
The final segment was Austin Aries admitting that he was indeed the one who paid off the Aces and Eights. And this promo was outstanding because he somehow managed to take this, and his outing of Bully and Brooks' sexual congress, and his fighting the Aces and Eights for TNA over the summer, and his issues with Hogan tossing him to the side in favor of Jeff Hardy, and tie all that together and make it all about him wanting the world title back more than anything. That could not have been easy. And I was really impressed that he also had the self-awareness to explain how he could be using the Aces and Eights to his own ends when he was fighting them just a few months ago, resolving that little plot hole. That was much appreciated. Then Jeff Hardy comes out and basically offers Aries a title shot on a silver platter next week, which Aries then refuses because he wants it on his own terms. This I kinda had to shake my head at. And you really had to suspend your disbelief on that one, but otherwise a great segment. They start fighting, Aries gets away, and there's a cliffhanger of will Aries Hardy 3 happen next week? Tune in next Thursday, same Impact time, same Impact channel, and find out. A Bound for Glory main event rematch on Impact, huh? Man, they're really looking for ratings now, aren't they? I guess I can't blame them. You know, it'll probably have some kind of screwy finish if it happens, but this cliffhanger could get people to watch, and that's what they need. You know, for a show that had so much stuff I didn't like, I felt pretty positive about this one. I didn't give two craps about Bischoff and Briscoe versus the Robbies. The knockout match was instantly forgettable, unless you're a Velvet Sky fan, and if you are, you know exactly what you're getting from her. The Aces and Eights have had their balls cut off, and Jesse Goddard's has no business being anywhere near a main event match right now, but the good outweighed the bad. Great stuff with Kenny King and Joseph Park, and regardless of who the world champion is, make no mistake about it, Austin Aries and Bully Ray are the top guys in this company right now. It's not even close. I swear, everything these guys touch lately turns to gold. I mean, yeah, the mystery of Aries paying off the Aces and Eights could have and probably should have been milked a lot more than it was, but that wasn't his fault. And that's all for now. See you next week. Same Impact time, same Impact channel. This doesn't make any sense. Aries couldn't have paid off the Aces and Eights on his own. He sure as hell didn't make that kind of money in ROH all those years. No, nothing about this adds up at all. The money has to be coming from somewhere. Or someone. But he doesn't have any money. Or does he?